This is Rounding Third, Boston Podcast. Harrison Smith and Nick Arno are breaking down every pitch, every game, and every series. Live every week. This is your home for all things Red Sox. Let's talk.
Welcome back into Rounding Third, Boston, episode 4. Rafael Devers is our third baseman because he says so. I'm Nick. We have Harrison tonight. How are we doing, Harrison?
Fantastic, Nick. How we doing?
Pretty good. Spring training games have started, so it is. It's that time of year. I'm excited. I'm ready to get going.
Yeah, I've actually got the replay of today's game up. I'm kind of watching it now as we're talking because I didn't see it because, of course, life happens, and but I'm catching it now, and I got to say, it's Crochet can deal. We'll get into it, but he can deal.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Before we get going, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can follow on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, follow on all the platforms, Rumble, TikTok as well. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We also have our affiliate sponsors, Dick's Sporting Goods, MLB Shop, and Lids. You can find these links on our Facebook page. And if you shop for any of these companies or through any of these companies, you can do it through our link on our pages. So we get a nice little kickback with no additional cost to you.
Yeah, and thank you to those that have. It means a lot and also shows a lot of support.
Absolutely. And also, you can get your Rounding Third merch. I said it on Thursday, but we got these nice little tumblers that are in. They look sharp, really sharp. I love them. We also have t-shirts, sweatshirts, phone cases. Anything you want, anything that supports us would be greatly appreciated. So check that out at Rounding Third Baseball on Etsy. All right. We'll get right into it. The whole Rafael Devers saga here. So it started early last week. Reporters are asking him, would he consider the move to DH? And his simple answer was no. No, I'm a third baseman. No. How does this sit with Red Sox fans?
I mean, not well. I mean, this is the guy who he's the face of the franchise. You picked him over Mookie Betts. You picked him over Xander Bogaerts, which choosing him over Xander is looking like a very good decision, not arguing that point. But if the face of your franchise is going to focus on himself and not the team, I think that's a bit of a wake-up call to Red Sox fans that maybe he's not who we thought he was. And that's concerning.
Yeah, for me, it's if he's playing for a contract, it's completely different, right? Like I can understand, like, hey, I'm playing for a contract. I need to be a third baseman because I'm not going to get a big contract if I'm solely a DH. But you're not looking for a contract, dude. You already got it. You got your 10-year extension. So what is there left to do except for win? Nothing. Like winning should be the top priority at this point. Your job is secure for the next 10 years. Like go out and win and just play Switzerland. This is all I've said is just say the right things in the interview. Just be like, I'll do whatever it takes for my team to win. You're not telling them that you're staying at third. You're not telling them that you'll move. You're just saying, I'll do whatever it takes for my team to win. And we move on. Like it doesn't blow up and become a big issue. I don't understand that thinking.
No. And this is, to your point, you tell the media who's basically kind of relaying to the fans what they need to hear, which is, I'll do whatever it takes. I'm here to win. I'm here for the fans, blah, 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 all those things. You say those things. And then you can go behind closed doors into Alex Cora that you're never, ever going to play another position, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. But you need to make the fans believe that you're here to win. Whether you mean it or not is entirely up to you, but you've got to at least give that perspective that you are a team first guy.
Yeah. And maybe that conversation has happened behind closed doors. Maybe they had it before that, and Cora's even, talked to Bregman about playing second base before he even signed the contract here. He said that was a potential fit for Bregman. We'll get to Bregman's comments in a minute, but for Devers to just come out and say that flat out, like kind of puts a damper on the offseason the Red Sox had, because this is the first time in a long time the Red Sox fans are excited about the potential of this team. And for someone to kind of not put the team first after the offseason they just had kind of puts a sour taste in my mouth as a fan.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, face of the franchise. You think he's here to win. You think the fans want to rally behind him, and then he says something like this. It's kind of hard for the fans to get excited and rally behind him.
Yeah.
Regardless of how he feels, the fans are thinking that you're going to be a team guy.
Yeah.
And what I don't like too is, the tone of how he said it, but it's also very clear he's trying to signal his desire to the front office. We this nonsense during like free agency or contract years, like you said, like you expect them to play these games with the media, to send messages to the front office through the media, like not in spring training.
No.
You've got damn near a decade left on your contract, not when you're the face of the franchise. This takes me back to the days of Nomar,
I was just going to bring that up.
where at the picnic table down there, he's basically airing his laundry, and that tore that team apart to the point where he had to go. And then you were left with what ended up being a World Series championship team because you had the right people. You just had to remove the one person that didn't fit. And unfortunately, it was him because of the feelings he was carrying from the offseason.
Now, the Red Sox fans are screaming. They're like, all right, trade this guy. Listen, I'm not calling for Rafael Devers' head. Like, you can't trade him. First of all, I don't know if a team would ever trade that contract right now. I mean, he's got, 9 years left on it? That's at $30 million. That's a hard contract to trade.
Yeah,
at this point.
8 years left on it. He signed a 10-year deal.
Okay. So whatever. That's still a lot of money that a team would have to take on. I don't think the Red Sox move on from him. Maybe they talk to him behind closed doors. I don't know what that looks like, but the comments definitely didn't sit well.
No, it doesn't sound good. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't elicit a lot of confidence. Teammates or fans. I mean, I think there's a lot of teammates that were kind of like, whoa, hold up. That's not how we thought this worked.
Except for this one. It's a great segue. So Tristan Cassis comments, he gets asked for whatever reason about the Devers situation, which Tristan Cassis really isn't involved other than his name being floated around in trade rumors this offseason. But his comments were simply, he doesn't know any other position. He doesn't want to play any other position, and he's going to fight for it, even if it's with any of the younger guys, any new guy. I think he's the best third baseman in the league. I wouldn't take anybody over him, so I think he should play third base. Now, is Tristan Cassis kind of stepping over the line a little bit here too, do you think?
I mean, I think it's on one hand, I kind of applaud Tristan Cassis for coming out and defending his teammate. Like that's a leadership trait you want to see in a young guy who you're hoping becomes an important part of your ball club. However, it's also not really the time or place for the young kid to speak. It's one of those, be quiet, kid. The adults are speaking. But I do appreciate him coming to his defense. It was misguided, but he did make an attempt.
Yeah, for me, it's the comment. I think he's the best third baseman in the league. Like, whether he believes that or not, I don't know. But yes, he's defending his teammate. But there's no way in heck Cassis can sit there and honestly say that Devers is the best third baseman in the league. Offensively, maybe you have an argument. Defensively, no, not even close. I don't know.
Devers is a negative 0.6 defensive WAR.
Yeah.
He's worse than your average player. Less than a replacement level player. And he's long been known as a poor defender. I mean, he's consistently been, he's been bad as -1. He's been as good as -0.3. He's not a good third baseman. He doesn't have good feet.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't have good feet. He doesn't have quick instincts. He's got a so-so arm. Is he killing you out there? No, he's not killing you out there. But you signed Alex Bregman, who's a Gold Glover, so it's at least worth asking the question of like, should he be there? Or more importantly, hey Rafael, like you've had some shoulder problems. Like, what if you took some games at DH and we protected you a little bit more? It wasn't even like it was a full-time demotion to DH.
Right.
It was like, should we mix that in? And then Costas' point about his how to play any other position. Pretty easy to play DH. You sure hope you hit. I mean, it's not rocket science, kid.
Right. And I don't know if you're Devers, why you don't even think about that. I mean, like you've had this shoulder issue since the playoffs in 2021, like ongoing, off and on. You've missed some time because of it. So this would take a lot of strain off it. Just stay off your feet for a little bit, rest. We just want you to take 4 at-bats a game, head back to the dugout, and just chill out. I don't know why he wouldn't consider it, but I don't know. Baseball has a weird way of these things ironing themselves out. Baseball, I've said it before, the baseball gods are cruel and they will find a way for this to all work out. And who knows? Like Cora said the right things too. Cora's is just like, listen, I really don't care what people or players say. Like, I'm going to put the best team out there that I can every day to win. As a manager should. Like, that's what you expect from your manager. Yeah, and whether that's Devers at third or Devers at DH, like, who knows?
I mean, on one hand, it feels like Cora's answer is kind of a non-answer of, I'm not going to address the issue, but just say I'm going to say the right things that we want to win. However, I think that's the right way to handle it. Like, we're going to run the best team out there we can. That is subject to change, could change any day, any moment. And there, we may see Devers play games at DH. He may not love it, but if Cora puts him in there, his choices are to either do that or not play.
Right.
And I think Devers wants to play, and I think he wants to hit.
Yeah. Which ultimately, I don't want Devers bat out of the lineup. Like you said, like he's close to a replacement level player. Like, I mean, -0.6, like, yeah, it's below league average, but it's not like -2.5. It's not -3. Like, it's serviceable. He's not going to hurt you. He's not going to help you. Yeah, like, I mean, he'll come up with a spectacular play every once in a while, and then he'll boot a routine. Like, that's just kind of what he is defensively. But he does make up with it with a bat, for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, to give you a sense, I mean, when you look at runs from fielding, he's actually 9 runs worth in the league average. He gives you give up 9 more runs a year because he's on your team. Yeah. But he also brings you 37 more runs offensively.
Right.
So, like, yeah. Is he a great defender? No. Is he a good defender? No. Is he serviceable? Sure. Is he killing you out there? Absolutely not.
Right.
Are you gonna not make the playoffs because Rafael Devers played third base for you? No.
Right.
That's the least of your concerns.
Yeah.
But is he the best third baseman on your team? No, he's not. And that's why this conversation started, because he's no longer the best third baseman on the team. And I would argue offensively, he and Bregman are about a push. And defensively, Bregman is way superior.
Yeah.
So, of course, you have to ask the question.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll move over to Bregman's comments. And he says, quote, I think everybody here believes in their abilities. I think all of us believe that if we all put together a good effort this season, we have a really good chance of being a winning baseball team. I can only talk for myself, but I'll play wherever helps my team win. Like, that's the answer I wanted out of Devers. Like,
yeah, those comments hurt after hearing Devers.
Yeah, and it might be Bregman coming in and not wanting to ruffle feathers, which I get. He's the new guy. He's coming in. He's still trying to, build relationships with his teammates, so he doesn't want to step on any toes. Like, he's not going to come out and be like, yeah, I should be playing third base. Like, no. Then we have a real problem on our hands. But this is the mentality I wanted out of the face of our franchise, out of Devers. This is the exact comment, almost word for word, I wanted out of Rafael Devers, because the tone that Devers is setting now is selfish. And if we want the Red Sox to succeed later on, make the playoffs, make a decent run in the playoffs, we need to have a team first mentality. And right now it doesn't seem like it's that way out of our leader.
Yeah, there's no disagreement here. I think Bregman's answer is the answer you want from everybody. It is the company line. I want to win. I'll do whatever it takes. I mean, we heard that from Aaron Judge the day after. He said the same thing when they're talking about moving him back to right field. He's like, I'll do whatever. I'm here to win. I don't care what position I play. You heard Mike Trout, same thing, like moving right field. He's like, and the GM Perry Manasian basically said that, like, Trout put the catcher's gear on if we asked him to. Like, right. He's a gamer. He just wants to play. He just wants to win. And we owe him that. You want Devers to be that same class of player. And what we're learning is that Devers is not that class of player. He is a selfish player. He is him first, team second. And that hurts. It hurts to have put your future in his hands only to find out that maybe you picked the wrong guy.
Yeah. And you can't tell me that there's a language barrier there, because he completely understood the question. Because if you watch the clip, when they asked him, would you consider a move to DH? He goes, no. And then the reporter joking around was like, well, can we get a translation there? Like, so Devers knew exactly what the question was. So like, you can't even blame it on a language barrier there at all.
No. He answered so fast. Like he knew the question was coming. He knew how to answer it.
Yeah.
There's no wasn't like Devers tried to walk it back the days after.
No.
He was radio silent.
Yeah.
I said what I said. I told the front office and the manager what I needed to tell them. I hope they listen, and I'm moving on. I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, Devers apparently isn't even at full strength right now. He's still dealing with this nagging shoulder problem. So it's another reason it makes you go, the hell's he thinking?
Yeah, I agree. All right. So we kind of already touched on all of this, but the fans' overall reaction to the situation. Like, should we care this much, or has the media blown this all out of proportion to get Red Sox Nation in a tizzy? And this had to have been talked about behind closed doors, right? I mean, it had to have been.
I mean, you'd like to believe so. And I agree with John in the chat. And we've talked about this with Bregman for a while. Like, Bregman comes in with the pedigree of, I've won a ring. I've been to the promised land many times. All those ALCSs, World Series appearances. Like, it's a guy who knows how to win. And he's done it so much. Love him or hate him, trash can incident or not trash can incident, doesn't matter. The dude is a gamer. He shows up, he grinds it out. They win. Teams he's on win. He won in college. He won in the pros. He won in the minors. Like, that's just who he is.
Yeah.
It's just, that's a different type of baseball player. Mookie was that guy. Xander was not that guy. And turns out Devers was not that guy. But you need that guy. What made the 04 Red Sox so good for that big comeback was you had guys that just, they believed, and they would go take the mountain by whatever means were necessary. Guys like Damon and Millar. They weren't the best guys, but they sure as hell weren't going to lose, and they're going to do whatever it freaking took.
Yeah, you had 9 leaders on that team willing to do whatever it took to win that year. Like, they weren't going down.
No, you had 9 guys that were going to die on that hill together. They were going to do it together.
Yep.
And I think you're already starting off to see that you've got different factions within this team right out of the gate. And you've added a lot of new guys. There's that component too, but your core building block is clearly in his own path, doing his own thing, and that's not a good start.
Yeah. So overall, do you think the media is to blame here for them like pushing the issue here, or is it kind of both? Is it 50-50 Devers and the media?
Oh, it's 100% Devers.
Okay.
100%. It's 100% on Devers. If he had just said, I want to win, I'll do whatever it takes. Or he could have just said, I'm open to anything.
Yeah.
Literally, the whole thing goes away.
Yeah.
But because he decided to be a tough guy to the media, to the front office, to his manager, to his teammates, and flex his muscles and show his might that he is going to be the third baseman, he created this monster. It's 100% on him. He made his bed. Now he's going to lie in it. And I do wonder, like, if this team gets off to a slow start, like, what's the reaction to Devers going to be? Is he going to get crap from fans? Because he probably deserves it.
1,000% he's going to get crap from fans if he comes out of the gate slow.
And I'm watching Bregman's home run from earlier as we're talking about this.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's tough because, like, I can see as a player, I can see where Devers is coming from, because you don't want somebody coming in and taking your spot per 100%. Se. Like, I get it. However, adding Alex Bregman to your lineup, the right-handed power bat that we've been screaming at them to sign, finally comes to your team, and you just kind of, pull the pin and toss a grenade into all of it. And that's what makes me upset about the whole thing.
Yeah, Devers chose this path. Nobody
Yeah.
else chose it for him.
Yeah.
He chose it, and the the talk is just going to get louder and louder and louder.
Yeah.
If Bregman goes out and plays awesome, the talk's just going to get louder and louder and louder.
Fans won't let that go either.
No, but God forbid, like Christian Campbell tears it up this spring, it's going to get louder and louder and louder because they're going to be like, well, he should be at third, put Campbell at second, put Devers at DH. Like, you're going to find real quick, Red Sox fans aren't in love with Devers anymore when they see shiny new objects.
I mean, you can see it on Facebook. Okay, take it with a grain of salt. It's Facebook, right? But I have seen so many trade scenarios just floated out there. Like, I mean, off the wall trade scenarios. Like, they would never work. But it's still like fans are already pivoting, being like, how can we get rid of this guy?
Yeah, fans are done.
He said one word, 2 letters, no. And Red Sox fans are like, we're done. Like, throw in the towel.
When they signed him, I was the first one that said, I don't know that he's the guy you want to commit to. Lots to like about him, but he's proven to be immature. He's not a good defender. He's only going to get worse as he gets older. He's only 28. I mean, he's still got plenty of time, but I thought Mookie was your guy. He was the franchise.
Yeah. And John, we've been on this show numerous times, and I would have paid Mookie $5 billion with a B dollars to stay on the Red Sox. Like, yeah,
Mookie was your franchise guy. He was the energy, the attitude, the leadership, the do whatever it takes. Bogarts wasn't that. Bogarts was
he was arguably the face of the league in 2018.
Yeah.
The face of the league, not just your team, the league. How do you not pay him to stay in Boston? I will never get that.
The ownership group did not want to go beyond 10 years.
I don't care.
So basically, what the ownership group did in all this is they basically picked the guy that would take the 10-year deal. Xander said no, Mookie said no, Devers said yes. So you got Devers. You asked all the girls to the prom, and you took the one yes. But you weren't offering anything all that fancy. And Xander definitely wasn't that guy. We knew that. That's why he walked. The Red Sox didn't even attempt to retain him. Yeah. Mookie was your guy. You traded him because you couldn't get there contract wise. Come to find out, he signed for the same AAV basically, but 2 more years. Yeah. You gave Devers almost that same contract, and now you're stuck with him. But for me as a Red Sox fan, I don't have a lot of faith in Devers anymore. Like I now look at him kind of go, okay, he's a piece and he's expendable, just like all of the other ones. So, who's in my mind, I'm looking for who's next. Is it Casas? Is it Crochet? Is it Campbell? Is it Anthony? Like, who's next? Because he's not the face of the franchise, in my opinion, anymore.
Duran. Sink all your money into Duran. I don't know. But John, I did try to start a GoFundMe, but me and the 5 friends that I have on my personal Facebook page was only able to raise $25. So that wasn't going to do it, but we tried. But
yeah, they offered him a sandwich for lunch, and it was like, that's not quite going to get the deal done.
Yeah. Now, if it was an Amato sandwich, I'm all in. But anyways, well,
maybe. And John, not to make light of Seattle, but yeah, as a Red Sox fan right now, it's nice to finally be in the spot again where we're like debating who should be playing versus just like hoping they don't suck terribly.
Right.
So totally understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. I don't know. You got Rowdy Tellez coming, so we'll get to it later. But anyways, all right, let's move on from this Devers situation and let's get into some actual baseball here. This is
hallelujah,
man. I was in heaven yesterday. So game 1, spring training opener, Sox beat the Rays 6-4 in game 1. I did not know until yesterday that Trace Thompson is on this team.
Yeah, 100%. I when I saw him in the lineup and I saw the home run, I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, when did he get here?
Yeah, I saw the name in the lineup and I was like, wait, what? But yeah, so home runs, Rafaela in the 3rd inning, Trace Thompson in the 4th. Tyler Miller in the 9th. So the Red Sox beat the Rays 6-4. Marcelo Mayer with a nice bloop single, line drive in the book for his first spring training RBI. It was a good at bat. Got to a 3-2 count, just kind of laid the bat out there, made contact, dumped it into left field. And from the sounds of it, Cora told them in the offseason, I want you guys to work on putting the ball in play. Like, we strike out way too much. We need to put the ball in play. And that's what Mayer did. He shortened up, got it off the end of the bat, just flicked it out there on a 3-2 count, drove in a run. Like, that's the type of stuff that the Red Sox need to do. And with this whole high strikeout, launch kind of approach in baseball now, it would be nice to see a team kind of flip the script and put pressure on these defenses again. You look around the league, there's not a lot of like great defensive baseball teams. There's a few out there, don't get me wrong. But if you look around, all these lineups are built for drop and drive guys with okay gloves. Yes, you have your elite defenders. I'm not saying they're not out there. But if the Red Sox can somehow flip the script, get balls in play, and put pressure on defense, they're going to score even more runs this year.
Well, look what the Dodgers did to the Yankees in the World Series.
Yeah.
It was exactly that. It was just put the ball in play, put pressure on them. They will fall apart, and they sure as hell did.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, and that was one of the things that they've been working on with Marcelo Mayer the last couple of years is patience, discipline, and contact. They want to see better at bats, better control of the strike zone, better control of the at bat itself, which will lead to more contact. And he's done a good job.
Yeah.
He early in his career, a lot of strikeouts, a lot of weak contact, a lot of chasing that he's definitely gotten better at. And he's become what I think is a pretty good polished major league ready hitter.
Yeah. And watching Roman Anthony's at bats as well, these first two games he looks like a professional in the box. I didn't realize how big that kid is. That kid is a monster.
He's a beast.
Like, man, it's a lot of promise. No wonder he's rated number 1. Well, he's technically number 2 because I guess is it Baseball America or MLB put Roki Sasaki first, but
because he's not debuted yet, so therefore he's still a minor leaguer. But
I guess how is he a minor leaguer if he's never been in the system though? Like that, I don't understand that.
Because he hasn't played in Major League Baseball yet, so he's still considered to be. He's in spring training. He's not like officially on the roster yet because there's no roster. It's dumb.
He hasn't even been on a roster period. So like I don't know how he's considered a pro. Anyways, that aside.
But yeah, I mean Roman Anthony. I mean this kid he's 6'2", 200 pounds. He looks bigger.
He does.
He's well built, but I don't want to say this, but like when you watch him hit, like he's like a Juan Soto of sorts. Like he controls the at bat.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't care who you are. He controls the at bat. And I watched him just make a fool of AA pitchers. Who would get him down, and then he would just work him, and then he'd come all the way back. Yeah. But he controls at bats like he's a grizzled veteran.
Yeah, even his outs were like loud outs. Like I saw him hit a ground ball to second baseman, but it was like it was a shot, and it was like, dang. But
guy's only 20.
Yeah, that's scary too. I love that.
Insanity. But he controls the strike zone, controls the at bat like a veteran.
Yeah. So yeah, Red Sox look good there. Today, their game, they lose to the Blue Jays 8-7 in 7 innings. Crochet and Bregman both look great for their Red Sox debut here. I mean, granted, it doesn't matter. It's not regular season. However, as a Red Sox fan, it gets you excited. Crochet, his Red Sox debut starts 1 2/3 innings pitch, 4 Ks, 3 hits, no runs. Loved it. Looked great. Just blowing guys away. The 3 hits in an inning and 2/3 is like, well, all right, we could do without that. But I mean, he's got blow you away stuff. So even if he gives up those hits, he can get out of those jams.
Yeah, and like we talked about before we went on, like that's kind of who Crochet is. Like, he's a career 1.15, almost 1.2 whip guy. He a little over 1 last year. Guys are going to get on base. He's going to walk guys. He's going to give up hits. But he's got blow you away stuff that can get him out of it. The thing with him that makes him interesting is that he's that guy who feels like he's always one pitch away from getting out of it or one pitch away from blowing up. And you never know which way it's going to go.
Yeah. Which his
stuff was lights out today.
Yeah. He looked good. And then Alex Bregman's Red Sox debut, 3 hits, 2-run homer, 2-run double. I mean, I got nothing to say, dude. If he stays like this at Fenway Park, man, he could might have an MVP season over there.
Well, I think it's worth pointing out too. Everything hit was to left, just missiles to left, and all loud contact. I mean, his swing is so built for Fenway, just like it was built for the Crawford boxes in Houston. Yeah. He is going to love peppering that wall.
Yeah. If he has a fantastic season, does he just stay? I mean, he already got more money than he was going to get with any other team. Does he just stay?
If he has a fantastic season, I have to imagine he's going to go back out on the market and look for something in the low to mid 30s longer term.
Man, it's tough. That would be a tough one.
It would be a tough one, but I mean, I don't feel like Bregman sees the end of that contract with Boston. I feel like he's there for a year, maybe 2.
It's fair.
He's going to go chase the long-term deal. And who knows? Maybe the Red Sox come back to him and say, hey, let's rip this up and put together a longer-term deal depending on what happens. But I think that the Red Sox would like it if he was only here a year or 2.
Yeah, just that bridge between the young kids.
Gets them to when all the young guys are ready, and then you wish him well, and you can replace him with 3 guys that cost combined, 10% of what he does.
Yeah, it's fair.
And then you go invest that in some pitching or not, because who knows where ownership will be at that point, but just better flexibility.
Yeah. But yeah, promising debuts out of them. Pretty excited to see the start of the year for sure. All right. Harrison's got some this or that.
All right. So I thought it'd be fun to really poke at this Devers Bregman thing a little bit with some this or that. So let's start with the first one, Nick. So who would you rather have at third base? Whole package, not just defensively, but who would you rather have as your third baseman?
I mean, it's Bregman, because ultimately what I would do with this lineup is put Bregman at third. You can put one of the new kids at second base, Campbell, Mayer, move Rafaela in there and put Roman Anthony in left, and Devers at DH. I think the Red Sox lineup, the biggest or the strongest lineup you could put out right now is Devers at DH, Bregman at third, Rafaela at second, Roman Anthony in left. I think that would be the strongest potential lineup you could put out for the Red Sox right now. It's not going to happen that way, but I would put Bregman in there for that reasons, because Yoshida is not the answer. I'm sorry. I've said it before. I was excited when the Red Sox signed him, but there's no way. It's Bregman all the way.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, it is Alex Bregman, and in my mind, it's not close. I think Devers was always destined to either move to first or go to DH. Like, we knew that when we signed him 2 years ago. Like, he was always destined to be a guy who would likely be a first baseman down the road or a DH, because he's not a good glove. And I agree with you. The best lineup may be, him DHing, Bregman at third, Rafael at second, Anthony in left. But I would reserve it to say, I would leave Devers at third if you find you don't have that one of those young guys just don't perform this spring and they're not ready.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I totally would rather see Bregman as your everyday third baseman and Devers as a DH. Get his glove off the field, let him focus on hitting, Big Papi 2.0, and just let him rake. Let him do what he's good at.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. And like you said, I don't think it's close. The whole package, I'd rather have Bregman there. But
yeah, I mean, Gold Glover, perennial All-Star, it is what it is. Like, Bregman's got the credentials.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do sort of agree with this, John, but I don't know if I even want Rafael Devers at first base. Like, he's never been over there. I don't know what his footwork looks like.
It's atrocious
I-
at third. So
Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine what that would look like. But I think the best thing would just pull him off the field completely and DH him.
but I think to your point, John, I think in a perfect world, maybe Devers plays third once or twice a week so that he can still be a third baseman. He can still get out there and play defensively, but now you're limiting how much exposure you have to his defense. In those days, either Bregman gets a day off, he slides to second, Rafael goes back to the outfield, you give some guys a day off. Like, I could see Cora rotating these guys through in a way where you can utilize Bregman's versatility playing third or second, utilize Rafael's versatility outfield and second, and rotate guys through to keep him fresh.
Yeah. And I think ultimately that's what Cora does for sure.
I think he's going to have to, because I think Devers is just going to wear down again. I mean, Devers' second half last year, look at the numbers. His second half last year was abysmal. It was horrendous.
Yeah.
Injuries and he just wore down.
Yep. Agree. All right. Next one.
All right. So let's go one more level here. So who would you rather have at third base? Devers or Arenado? The whole package.
See, this one's hard for me because I love Nolan Arenado and everything he was, 10 consecutive seasons of 30 and 100, 10 gold glove, not 10 consecutive seasons of 30 and 100, but he had 6 or 7 in a row, something like that. 10 gold gloves in a row. The dude's a beast. He is getting older. He's tried to work on his hips as he's getting older. Like, it was pretty apparent in last offseason, the 23-24 offseason, that he was having some hip issues, opening up to balls, wasn't quite getting to what he is used to getting to. And that's age, right? I mean, that's just, it happens.
Yeah, it's age, it's miles, but it's also just the beating your body takes. Like, right. if you're not doing that mobility maintenance type work, it just catches up with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And is he still a great player? Would I still love to see him at Fenway? Yeah, absolutely. And reports out there is Arenado is still up for a trade here. Now, if that happens, I don't know where the Red Sox go position-wise. Unless you take Casas completely off the field and put Arenado at first. Because I don't know at this point if I put him at third base at this point in his career over Devers. I mean, he probably still has a better glove than Devers, but I don't know if I want to upset the Devers camp to bring in another third baseman to be like, hey, he's also competing for your spot too. You know what I mean? I think if we trade for Arenado, it's like, hey, buddy, like, you're our DH or you're going to play first. Like, we have third base figured out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It's an interesting take because I look at it as my answer is the same here. I would take Arenado at third and I move Devers off only because I think Arenado is still a better defender. I think Nolan Arenado with a leg amputated is probably still a better defender than Devers. Just because he is, like, his hand skills, his arm, like,
yeah,
it's Devers looks so awkward at third base. Like, when you watch him play third base, he just looks awkward. His feet are always going a different direction from his upper body. It's just painful to watch. He looks so awkward. It's like a deer trying to walk, baby deer trying to walk. Where Arenado is just so fluid. I would still take Arenado as your third baseman over Devers. A declining Arenado is still significantly better than Devers. The value of Devers is his bat. It was always his bat. It'll always be his bat. It was never his glove.
Yeah.
So the more you can keep his glove out of the equation, the better off everybody is. And Arenado is just so good.
Yeah.
But you bring Arenado to town. Yeah, you probably go Bregman at third, Arenado at first, and Devers goes to DH. I think if you had the three guys on the team, the guy who's DHing is clearly going to be Devers.
Yeah, because I think if the Arenado trade does happen, Casas is gone. Right?
I feel like he would have to go in that. There's no room for these guys otherwise.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you are going to do the Bregman to second, Arenado to third, Devers to DH, Casas stays at first. I mean, that would be insane. But it's possible. I mean, I wouldn't rule anything out.
I would be okay with that infield, man. Devers,
That infield
Story,
would be
Bregman,
amazing.
and Arenado.
And then
Yeah.
Trevor Story for about a month and a half until he gets hurt, and then Marcelo Mayer comes up.
Facts.
But no, I mean
yeah.
that you would do really well with that defense, and that group would hit. That group would hit really, really well.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's just tough for me because I'm also thinking about Devers' mindset at the moment. You know what I mean? If the Red Sox trade for another third baseman and bring him in, like
Well, yeah.
now Devers is extremely pissed. Unless you'd be like, whoa, buddy, easy.
Unless you deal Devers and whatever happens.
There's that possibility too.
There's also that one.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my next question, which is, who would you rather have on this team next year? Vladdy Jr. or Rafael Devers? Because I have heard people say, trade him to Toronto. That'll really piss him off, and get Vladdy Jr. and assign him. Give him the big deal. So who would you rather see here in 2026? Vladdy Jr. or Devers?
Is this even a question? Is this even a question, Harrison?
I mean, no, but yes at the same time. I am asking you for fear of ridicule. Who would you rather have on your team?
I'm taking Devers in a right-handed friendly Fenway Park. Kidding. No,
of course, obviously.
Right. It's Vlad Guerrero, man. I mean, what he would do at Fenway Park in 81 games would be silly.
It would be criminal. I mean, it would just be criminal.
Silly what he would do at Fenway Park. I've heard this kind of tossed around was send Devers and Cassis to Toronto. They get their first baseman back. We get Guerrero. Now, I'm okay with that deal, except Vladdy's going to get paid.
Yeah, you got to be able to sign him and pay him.
He had to have been extended by the Blue Jays, and then the trade. Then I would be okay. But since he's
John, I'm with you.
yeah.
He would absolutely mash at Fenway.
Yeah.
55 plus home runs. I believe it.
If Vladimir Guerrero was extended by the Blue Jays, then yeah, I'm shipping Devers out. I'm shipping Cassis out. I'm shipping everybody out. But since he's not extended, I'm not doing that trade. There's no way, because then I'm losing a possible potential first baseman of the future with Cassis and Devers, who hits 25, 30 home runs a year, drives in 85. Like, that's a lot of production that I'm sending away for a 1-year rental. And I don't know if the Blue Jays trade in division unless we overpay for Guerrero. That's just kind of my take on it.
I don't know if the Blue Jays care about trading in the division, because he's going to go sign wherever the hell he wants in the offseason, and it could be in the division for all we know. I've heard rumors the Yankees are interested in making a play for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, hey, Vladdy, 12 years, 550, 560, sign here, come to Boston. Goodbye, Raphael. Thanks for everything. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's fun to bat it around, but I do think that this is where Red Sox fans are at. It's kind of like, okay, like, could we get rid of him? And what could we get? Yeah. Because maybe we don't think Devers is our guy anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be hard to trade an 8-year, $30 million a year contract. Look at the Cardinals with Arenado. Like, he doesn't even have 8 years left on it, and they still can't move him.
But the Blue Jays wanted the bat, and they're willing to give Vladdy more than that. So this is kind of like a consolation prize of, here's 8 years at $30 million a year. It's what you guys wanted to pay. We'll take the bigger contract off your hands. You can have Devers. You got your bat. Your fans will be happy because you didn't just like lose him for nothing. That's the other thing too, is like, if they really can't extend him, are they going to trade him at the trade deadline? Or are they going to let him just walk in the offseason for nothing like the Red Sox did with Bogarts? Like, the Blue Jays are in a tough spot with him and Bichette coming. do Devers versus Pablo Sandoval next.
Yikes.
My biggest fear is that Devers becomes Sandoval.
Yeah.
Devers is, no, not that I am going to go win any fitness pageants, but look at Devers in a t-shirt. The dude is not exactly in great shape. He's a big body guy, and that doesn't always age well. And we could be looking at a Miggy Cabrera or a Pablo Sandoval, God, I hope not.
Yeah.
I worry about how some of these guys age, because when they don't take care of themselves at this age, what's it going to be like when they're older? I mean, he's 6 feet, 235.
Yeah.
Big boy. He's a big boy.
Yeah. But
And that could easily become 250, 255, 260 in a couple of years too, which then becomes a problem.
Yeah. But contract situation aside, if I could answer this question, it's Vladdy Jr. and it's no questions asked.
No debate.
No debate at all. Mm-mm.
Nope. I would dump Devers in a heartbeat if that meant we can get Vladdy. No,
Yep.
no. I mean, I will pack him and drive him wherever it needs to be done.
Yep. 1000% with you.
So
All
I
right.
thought it'd be fun to poke at this.
Yeah.
Given the headlines.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was awesome. All right, Harrison. Some Red Sox before and after trivia. Here we go. In 2018, this relief pitcher threw at Tyler Austin of the Yankees, which then fans started his Fight Club. Plus, former catcher for the Red Sox only in 2005 and for 9 games, and then again in 2012 for 48 games. He did, however, come up through the Red Sox system.
The first guy is clearly Joe Kelly, because we remember Joe Kelly's Fight Club.
It is Joe Kelly.
And the only catcher I can think of is Kelly Shopak.
Yes, nice job.
Who
Joe Kelly
was
Shopak.
really expected to be something special and just never developed.
Yes, good. Joe Kelly Shopak. Yep. Nice. Yeah, I remember watching him in Portland, and he was pretty good. He was decent. And I was like, all right, like we got potential here. And then just kind of never, he jumped around a lot and just never settled on a place and just kind of fizzled out. But,
yeah, he was always one of those guys who was like just good enough to get an opportunity, but not good enough to stay.
Yep. All right. Next one. His number 8 is retired by the Red Sox, plus utility player that was absolutely unconscious during the 2021 playoff run for the Sox.
Oh, I'm not sure how I'm going to connect these two, but it's Carl Yastrzemski Hernandez.
Yes.
You are really taking some liberties with the last names, my man.
Yeah, Carl Yastrzemski Hernandez.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Kike in the playoffs, he's like a different guy.
That 2021 run was, I've never seen somebody get that hot. That was nuts.
I mean, nobody should have pitched to that guy. He was that hot. He
should have gotten the Barry Bonds. We were talking about that on the pod during that time. We're like, when are they just gonna not pitch to this dude? Because just everything he hit was over 110 miles an hour and like 18 rows deep. It was crazy.
Just liners in the gap and home runs, just over and over and over again.
It was wild watching that for sure. But yeah, Carl Yastrzemski Hernandez. You're welcome.
Oh,
all right.
Man.
Next one. Pitcher for the Red Sox that unfortunately had a career-ending injury on a line drive comebacker off the eye socket, plus shortstop and third baseman from 63 to 76, all with Boston, compiling a 251 batting average, 210 home runs, and compiling a 39.1 career WAR.
Well, the first guy, and I'll never forget that. I was watching that game, and that was the worst thing I've ever seen. Was Bryce Fleury took the comebacker off the eye socket. That was horrendous to watch.
I know Sports Illustrated did a whole breakdown of the comebacker, and they showed they had an animated picture of all the bones that were broken in his face and his nose and the eye socket. Man, it was crazy. But yeah, Bryce Fleury is the first one.
It was against the Rays too, because the guy that hit it was just distraught,
mortified. Yeah.
Oh, just terrible. Bryce Fleury. Okay, sorry. So shortstop and third baseman, 63 to 76. Fleury. Oh, is it Rico Petrocelli?
It is Rico Petrocelli. Nice. So Bryce Florico Petrocelli. But yeah, our boy Jim Rowe, right behind Bryce Fleury here. That would have been a good question to ask Jim Rowe when he was on.
I can only
but
imagine what it's like running out to the mound when something like that happens.
Yeah, but crazy. Yeah.
Is that Jimmy Williams back there? Jimmy with one M?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, Johnny Williams for sure. Nomar kneeling down next to him right there. But
That was terrible.
yeah. All right. Next one. First baseman that played in Boston for 3.5 years, 17 to 20, compiling 78 doubles, which seemed like were the only hits he got when he was there. I think we called him blank two bags for a while. Plus, left-handed relief pitcher for Boston during the 2011 through 2014 seasons, where surprisingly he spent the most of his career, but also pitched for 6 other teams before retiring in 2021.
All right. So, I mean, I remember talking with Sean a bunch about the doubles, and so it's got to be Mitch Moreland, right?
Yep, Mitchy two bags.
Yeah. I mean, Mitch Moreland was a legend in Boston for those 3.5 years. Not to mention some huge home runs like in the World Series, but
I think he had 67 doubles in that 3.5 year stretch. It was crazy.
Did nothing but hit doubles. It was insane. All right, so Mitch Moreland and the reliever is left-hander. Is this the big dude that threw gas? Went on to Cleveland.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness. It's Miller time. Andrew Miller.
Yes, good. So Mitch Moreland, Andrew Miller. Nice. Good.
Mitch Moreland was such a great pickup for the Red Sox when he left Texas, and he did so much for that team, and so underrated and underappreciated.
It was just doubles and homers for him that whole stretch, man. He was good.
And I swear to God, he'd go like a month without a hit, and then he'd just rip off a bunch of doubles and a couple of like a couple game-winning bombs. You're like, oh, he's back.
Yeah, be 5 for 5, 3 doubles, 2 homers. You're like, okay, like stop.
And then for the next 2 weeks.
Yep. All right, next one. Third and first baseman for the Red Sox from 01 to 03 before being traded to the Diamondbacks. Plus, Red Sox left fielder that was part of the Killer Bees that later went to the Royals, Yankees, and finally signing a free agent deal with the White Sox.
Is that Shea Hillenbrand?
Yes,
first?
sir. Mm-hmm.
I loved Shea. He had such a weird swing. Oh, is this Brandon Moss?
No.
Oh. Left field is part of the Killer Bees. Oh, Andrew Benintendi.
Yeah. So
I should have. If I had read it again and saw Killer Bees, I would have picked up on that.
So Shea Hillenbrand, Benintendi. Good. And that's all I had.
Man.
Yep. Those are good ones. I love
those.
I love putting those together, but wait for the big show. You'll have some good ones in there for sure.
Yeah.
But
mix in all kinds of goodies.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
all right.
Those are fun. I like the variety of them. Just
yeah.
And honestly, like, people will get in our comments and like give us crap for not getting the answers, but like I love the trivia because honestly, like learning about baseball, learning more things.
Yeah.
Finding things I don't know. It's awesome.
And doing it live, man, your brain shuts off. Like it really does. Like on the spot, asking a question, you're just like, yeah, no clue. But yeah, John, your comment about like Mitch Moreland, I'm taking it like when it rains, it pours. Like when a guy's hot, he's hot, but when he's not, it can be painful for sure. But
yeah, it's it's bad.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any other Red Sox news for this evening?
Just a couple of quick hitters. So Craig Breslow did come out this afternoon and talk about the whole Devers situation, saying very much like what we were saying. These things have a way of working themselves out. Not the first time a player has been outspoken about something like take a lot of pride in. That's okay. They can appreciate Devers' passion for wanting to play and feeling he's a third baseman and wanting to, continue to contribute in that way. But, as Breslow said, my obligation is to put the best team on the field, and that's what we're going to do. Yeah. And maybe that bothers people. Maybe not everybody's going to be happy about what we do, but that's our obligation is to win. And that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Great.
I mean, it's kind of hard to argue.
Yeah. As a fan, I'm happy with that. I want my general manager or president of baseball ops or whatever he is. I want him saying that. Like, yeah, I want the players to be happy so they can perform at their peak. But at the same time, like, I also want the best guys out there for sure.
Yes. And I think that, again, I feel like in many ways Cora and Breslow's answers were non-answers, but I think they told the fans what they need to know, which is we're building a winner. And maybe we're going to piss people off when we do that, but we're going to build a winner. Like that's our obligation. That's what we're going to do.
Yep.
So be it.
And in order to win, you almost need that alpha mentality, right? You can't be a team that sits back and just makes everybody happy. Like you're not going to get anywhere. Like there's not many teams where, it's rare where everybody gets along. There's chemistry, like 100% team chemistry. Like there are toes to be stepped on, but you need that mentality to keep driving your team forward to make them better. You just kind of sit back and complacent, nothing's going to happen or improve.
No, exactly. And that's the thing. Like you need to bring in, we've said it all along, bring as much talent into spring training as you can and figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. And sometimes the figuring it out process is hard or uncomfortable, but so be it. And then the second item, so update on the pitchers that are kind of delayed here. Alex Cora was speaking earlier today about Crawford, Bayo, and now Zach Penrod as well. Crawford is expected to miss time with that knee injury. They're not expecting him to break camp with the big club at this point. He's going to probably stay behind and continue through his progression because he's way behind. So likelihood that Crawford joins the team probably sometime in April on the road. Bayo is still on pause. They're not ruling him out to start the season with the team because he's not the ace. He's not the one starter, so he actually gets like an extra week. But they think they can catch him up faster than they can catch Crawford up, who is kind of unable to do anything right now.
Yeah.
In the meantime, now Zach Penrod, who they thought would be a potential bullpen contributor, is also battling injury and is likely also going to miss significant time and won't break camp with the club. So they're looking at already having to dig into the pitching depth with the likelihood that Crawford, at a minimum, is going to miss some or all of April.
Dang.
So,
well, and if you break camp without Bayo and Crawford, that's, we were potentially talking about a 6-man rotation here going in, and now we're looking at a 4 with a bullpen game, or a Josh Winkowski coming up for a start, or, coming out of the bullpen for a start or something like that.
The decision on Giolito still isn't final. He's apparently making progress, feeling good, looking good. It's likely that the Red Sox are going to pencil Bayo into the 5th spot because early on in the season with the off days, they could skip that spot if they had to, if he really wasn't ready, and buy him a whole nother week. So they're going to try to be flexible, but they are definitely dealing with some pitching issues, as we said they might, because they've got a lot of guys who have histories here. Although Crawford and Bayo weren't those guys,
right?
But you just continue to increase the probability of running into these sorts of issues.
I did see Patrick Sandoval throwing a little long toss the other day, so that's promising. I mean, he's still not going to be ready till July, or I think that's the timetable on him, but still promising to see him actually throwing a baseball. So that's good news.
Yep. And then the Red Sox are confident that if they had to for a few weeks, they could get by with Richard Fitz. They can get by with Quinn Priester. They could bring him up and move people around. They've got Hunter Dobbins in the minor leagues. So I feel like they could probably make it work for a few weeks if they had to, for a few starts.
Yep.
And as of right now, they are planning on using Liam Hendricks as the primary closer.
Amen.
It'll be Chapman in the 8th to get the Hendricks in the 9th.
I'm okay with that. I'm more than okay with that.
Yes, and the feeling is that his stuff plays better in the 9th inning than Chapman, who's kind of become a one-trick pony at this point in his career. But in the 8th inning, you can take that risk. In the 9th, you can.
Yep.
However, they are looking for more left-handed bullpen help. That is something that Alex Cora is looking for, something that Breslow is searching for. They need more left-handed arms.
Yeah, I think also Cora plays matchups there too. Having a lefty and a righty at the back end that are still serviceable closers you can look at the lineup coming up or who the other team has left on the bench and be like, okay, Chapman might have a better time right now in the 9th than Hendricks would. So I'm going to pitch Hendricks in the 8th and then, Chapman in the 9th. But, he could flip flop those guys and we could see 20 save seasons out of both of them, maybe.
Totally. I mean, you totally could. I think you can totally get into a spot. I don't want to go back to the closer by committee days like we had when it was a complete disaster.
Right.
But you could, in that point, look at who's coming up and say, geez, this is not a great matchup for Hendricks. Let's throw Chapman at him. Because both guys can close.
Right.
Both guys are end of their career, don't have the same stuff they used to have, but they're still very effective. But they're also going to blow up on occasion.
Yeah.
But you can put them in a better spot by playing matchups and letting those guys kind of split up the saves.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even call that necessarily closer by committee because it's like it's you two. You two have the 8th and the 9th. What that looks like depends on the matchups. Like I'm okay with that. Like bullpen by committee, like the last few years was just like, well, who do we have left in the bullpen? All right, let's see if he can close out a game. No? Okay, not you. We'll try somebody else the next day. But I think if you anchor it with those two, whether it's 8th or 9th, flip-flop them every other game or whatever, I think they'll both do all right. They'll do well.
Yep. Yeah. Two veterans know what they're doing. They can still get the job done.
Absolutely. And I think at this point in career, to your point, I think both of them would be okay with that. I don't think they're going to have like ego trips being like, oh, I'm the closer and you're not. I think both of them would be okay with whatever role you put them in.
Yeah, not to poke Rafael Devers anymore, but I think these are team first guys.
Yeah.
That if you need me in the 7th, I'll pitch. And you need me in the 8th, I'll pitch. And you need me in the 9th, I'll pitch. Just tell them when you need me.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think at this point in their careers, that's who they have to be.
Yeah, agree. All right. Anything else for this evening? Red Sox Nation.
That's it.
It
was good to see some live baseball. I'll tell you that.
Oh man, it was heaven, telling you. But all right, before you go, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Rounding Third Boston. Hit that follow button, hit that like button. Really appreciate the support. Thanks for commenting. We will be back on next Sunday at 8 p.m. Until then, we'll see you
shortly. See ya.
Short.